October 15th, a quiet suburban street. An elderly couple sleeping peacefully in their home. By morning, one would be dead, the other fighting for life, and their teenage granddaughter would be at the center of an investigation that would shock an entire community. This is a story about family, trust, and the masks people wear. Some mysteries solve themselves quickly. Others reveal truths so disturbing that you wish you'd never started looking. They call me detective. The mask I wear has seen humanity's darkest corners. But this case would challenge everything I thought I knew about evil. The call came in at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Home invasion, elderly couple attacked. Margaret Richardson, 73, was dead at the scene. Her husband Harold, 76, was barely alive with severe head trauma. The person who found them, their 19-year-old granddaughter Emma, who'd come to check on them after they missed their nightly phone call. She was hysterical, covered in her grandfather's blood from trying to save him, begging paramedics to help. I arrived at 1623 Elm Street expecting a typical home invasion. What I found would become one of the most complex cases of my career. The Richardson house painted a picture of violence and chaos. Front door forced open, furniture overturned, valuables missing. Margaret Richardson had been struck multiple times with a blunt object, likely a metal pipe. Harold had similar injuries, but somehow survived. The safe was empty. $3,000 in cash, gone. Margaret's jewelry, missing. Credit cards, wallets, everything of value had been taken. It looked like a textbook robbery gone wrong. But something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it yet, but my instincts were screaming that this scene was too perfect, too textbook, like someone had studied what a robbery should look like and recreated it. Emma Richardson sat in the ambulance, a blanket around her shoulders, unable to stop shaking. She was a petite brunette with large brown eyes, the picture of innocence and grief. She'd been raised by her grandparents since age 12, after her parents died in a car accident. She told me she visited them every day after classes. They always called each other at 9 p.m. Always. When they didn't answer, she knew something was wrong. She'd driven over immediately and found the door open, her grandmother in the hallway, her grandfather in the bedroom. Emma had tried CPR on both of them, called 911, done everything right. The paramedics praised her quick thinking. She might have saved her grandfather's life. Through her tears, she begged me to find whoever did this. As I interviewed Emma over the following days, small things began to bother me. She said she'd been at the library until 8, but the library closed at 7. She claimed she'd last talked to her grandparents at noon, but phone records showed a call at 3:17 p.m. When I asked about these discrepancies, Emma seemed genuinely confused. She attributed it to shock, to grief clouding her memory. It made sense. Trauma does strange things to memory. But I've learned to pay attention to these small inconsistencies. Her roommate Jessica confirmed Emma had been in their dorm room from 7 p.m. until she left to check on her grandparents at 9:30. They'd been studying together, ordered pizza. The alibi was solid, so why did something still feel wrong? Harold Richardson remained in a coma at Riverside General. Emma never left his side. She slept in the hospital chair, held his hand, read him his favorite books. The nurses were touched by her dedication. Here was a granddaughter who truly loved her grandfather. But I noticed odd details. Emma always came alone. No friends visited, no other family. When I asked, she explained her grandparents had been private people. that she didn't have many close friends. It was just the three of them against the world. I watched her watching the monitors tracking Harold's vitals. Most family members look at comatose loved ones with hope. But sometimes, when Emma thought no one was looking, I saw something else in her eyes. Something I couldn't quite identify. 3 days into the investigation, I made a discovery that changed everything. Harold and Margaret Richardson had recently updated their life insurance policies. Each policy was worth $500,000. The beneficiary? Emma Richardson. $1 million total. When I asked Emma about it, she seemed shocked. She claimed she had no idea about any life insurance, that her grandparents had never mentioned it. Her surprise appeared genuine, but the policies had been updated just 3 months ago, and the insurance agent remembered Emma being at the appointment. $1 million. That's a lot of money for a 19-year-old college student. But having a motive doesn't make someone guilty. I needed more. 6 days after the attack, Emma's roommate Jessica asked to speak with me privately. She was nervous, fidgeting, clearly struggling with something. What she told me shattered Emma's alibi completely. Jessica admitted she'd lied. Emma had asked her to say they were together that night, but they weren't. Emma had left at 6 p.m. and didn't return until almost midnight. She'd been agitated when she returned, claimed she'd been with a boyfriend her grandparents didn't approve of. Jessica had agreed to lie because she thought she was helping her friend avoid family drama. But now, with Margaret dead and Harold in a coma, she couldn't keep the secret anymore. She was scared she'd been covering for something much worse. With Emma's alibi destroyed, I dug deeper into her phone records. What I found was disturbing. Hundreds of calls and texts to 2 numbers belonging to Marcus Webb, 26, and Derek Payne, 31. Both men had criminal records. Both were drowning in debt. The messages were vague but suspicious. References to the plan, the timeline, making it look right. And most chilling, sent 2 days before the attack. Remember, both problems need to be solved. No loose ends. When I tracked down Marcus and Derek, they denied knowing Emma beyond being casual acquaintances. But they were nervous, sweating, clearly lying. I didn't have enough to arrest them yet, but I knew I was getting closer to the truth. Bank records revealed something shocking. For months, someone had been making small withdrawals from Harold and Margaret's accounts, using their ATM cards, always under $500, amounts that wouldn't trigger alerts. The total stolen, over $15,000. Security footage from the ATMs was grainy but revealing. A figure in sunglasses and a hoodie, trying to hide their identity. But the walk, the posture, the way they held their head, I'd seen those mannerisms before. During my interviews with Emma, the withdrawals matched deposits into Emma's account, which she'd immediately transferred to Marcus and Derek. She'd been paying them in installments. But for what? The picture was becoming clearer, but I needed concrete evidence. Day 8. Harold Richardson opened his eyes. His first words to the nurse weren't about his pain or asking about his wife. They were, "Where's Emma? Is Emma safe?" When I arrived, Harold was confused but lucid. He remembered the attack. 2 men had broken in, attacked them in their bedroom. He tried to fight back but was overpowered. He remembered Margaret screaming, then silence, then darkness. But then Harold said something that made my blood run cold. "There was someone else," he whispered. "Someone in the doorway, watching. Someone who didn't help us. Someone who told them what to take." I showed Harold a photo array, mixing Emma's picture with those of other young women. His hand shook as he pointed to one photo. Emma's photo. "She was there," he said, tears streaming down his face. "My Emma was there. She watched them hurt us." Harold's memory came back in pieces. Emma hadn't participated in the violence, but she directed it. He remembered her voice, calm and controlled, telling the men to check the safe and make it look real. Most heartbreaking, he remembered making eye contact with her as he lay bleeding, seeing nothing in her eyes but cold calculation. The grandfather who'd raised her, loved her, given her everything, had seen his granddaughter's true face in what he thought were his final moments. And that face had shown no mercy, no love, no regret. I arrested Emma Richardson at her grandfather's bedside. She was reading him poetry, playing the devoted granddaughter to the end. Even as I read her rights, she maintained her innocence, crying that her grandfather was confused, that his injuries had affected his memory. But when I mentioned the phone records, the bank footage, the payments to Marcus and Derek, her mask finally slipped. For just a moment, I saw the real Emma, cold, calculating, furious at being caught. Then the mask went back on, and she demanded a lawyer. Marcus Webb and Derek Payne were arrested within hours. Faced with potential death penalty charges, both confessed. Emma had planned everything, paid them $50,000 each to kill her grandparents and make it look like a robbery. The insurance money would have made her rich. The trial revealed the full scope of Emma's deception. She hadn't been in college for over a year, having dropped out but pretending to attend classes. She'd been living a double life funded by theft from the very people who loved her most. She owed money to drug dealers, faced eviction, had maxed out credit cards. The insurance money wasn't just greed, it was desperation. But instead of asking for help, she'd chosen murder. Instead of facing her failures, she decided to eliminate the only people who'd ever truly loved her. Psychological evaluation revealed Emma as a clinical sociopath. The tears, the devotion at the hospital, the grief, all carefully calculated performance. She'd viewed her grandparents not as family, but as obstacles to the life she wanted. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Life without parole for murder, plus 40 years for attempted murder. As the verdict was read, Emma finally showed her true self. No tears, no shock, just rage at losing her game. Harold Richardson lived another 18 months after the trial. Friends said he never recovered from the betrayal. He died in his sleep, and many believe he died of a broken heart. The granddaughter he'd loved had killed his wife and tried to kill him for money. Emma Richardson now spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. Marcus Webb and Derek Payne are serving life sentences. The $1 million Emma killed for never materialized. The insurance companies voided the policies due to her crimes. What makes this case so chilling isn't just the murder, it's the betrayal. Emma had spent months planning, studying her grandparents' routines, gaining their trust while plotting their deaths. She'd sat at their dinner table, accepted their love, all while seeing them as nothing more than obstacles to money. This case taught me that evil doesn't always look like evil. It can be young, innocent looking, someone you'd never suspect. It can call you grandpa, hug you goodnight, and hold your hand while planning your murder. The mask I wear as detective has seen a lot, but Emma Richardson proved that the most dangerous predators are often the ones hiding behind the most convincing masks of innocence. They still call me detective. The mask stays on. But now, when I see families together, I wonder what secrets hide behind their smiles. When I see young people caring for elderly relatives, I remember Emma Richardson and the performance she gave. What Emma did wasn't just murder. It was the ultimate betrayal. She destroyed the meaning of family, of trust, of love itself. She proved that sometimes the person who seems to love you most might be the one planning your end. Some cases you solve. Others solve you, changing how you see the world forever. Emma Richardson's case did both. It solved itself through evidence and testimony, but it also solved a piece of my faith in humanity, leaving me forever changed. The Richardson case is closed, but the questions it raises remain open. How do we trust when trust can be so thoroughly betrayed? How do we love when love can be faked so convincingly? How do we know who someone really is behind their mask? If you found this story compelling and disturbing, please like and subscribe for more true crime cases that reveal the darkest corners of human nature. Share your thoughts in the comments. Could you have seen through Emma's mask? Remember, evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like someone you love. Stay safe out there and trust your instincts. They might save your life.